from 1990. Just misses the 80s. Child's Play 2. This is my number one.
Wow, really?
Yeah, I love this movie.
Okay, then we are not going to have the same list.
Really? You have this low?
I have this number 5. So this is
That low?
bottom half of the table for me.
What?
Yeah. No.
See? You teased that we were going to say.
I thought that there was
I can't
hope.
believe you have this so low. I can't believe it's a mid pick for you.
It's mid. Yeah, it's a mid.
See, I don't know. Wow.
Yeah.
Here we are. See, I don't know what you're going to put. I know. You're wrong. It begins.
Yep.
Yeah, this is my number one. I fucking love this movie.
Wow.
This movie is fucking awesome.
Is it?
Now, before I can't believe you don't love this movie.
Yeah.
When we get into it,
Yeah.
I'm gonna be surprised about what you don't like and what didn't hook you, because seemingly this in my mind, Mark Skew should have been won over by this movie.
Yeah.
But we'll get into it. Let me just do the plot real quick here. So we get a brilliant opening sequence. Again, a cool opening title sequence. The charred and destroyed Chucky doll, the remains from the first movie, is being meticulously cleaned and reassembled. What a cool fucking opening credit scene. Again, filmmakers, keep your fucking credits interesting and we'll watch them. If you don't want me to skip or fast forward your credits, keep them interesting. This is how you do credits. And this movie does not, if you thought the first movie didn't fuck around with its pacing, this movie is even shorter. 84 minutes, motherfucker. This movie goes. There is no hesitation whatsoever. We immediately get a title card. We get this awesome opening credit sequence, and we get a shot of the Good Guy Doll Factory. It's like this giant sign, and it's like the factory for Good Guy dolls, something we had never seen yet. The world is expanding all of a sudden, and it is revealed we are at Play Pal Toys HQ, which are the makers of these fine products. So again, they're expanding the world immediately, right off the bat. We are now we're seeing a little bit behind the curtain of the actual company itself. We get a dialogue between two high-ranking employees for the company who reveal through quick exposition that the police didn't acknowledge the killer doll story. That feels a little stupid. I didn't like that. I have no negatives on this film. It's the only thing that I'm kind of like, I guess they just didn't want Detective Norris, Chris Sarandon, to come back. So they're just one line fix him out, where it's nah, the cops, they didn't put themselves on the line. They didn't put their reputation on the line, and they were just nah, it wasn't the doll. Okay, but then, so did Andy kill all those people?
Right.
What if they didn't back that story up, then what story did they back up? Because someone seemingly killed all those people. What the fuck? Okay, that's a little dumb. Because of, and honestly, seemingly because of this, Andy's mom, Karen, is taken into psychiatric care. So Andy is now in foster care, and we'll get to that. The company is facing a little bit of a crisis because of the negative publicity this has created. They're attempting to almost fix their image.
Right.
They want to quell any rumors about an evil doll they created. They're looking to put this to bed, wasting no time at all. Chucky somehow they rebuild him. He immediately electrocutes one of the workers rebuilding him and is sent through a fucking pane of glass. Similar to the first kill in Child's Play 1 where she goes through the window. It's just an over-the-top moment where I don't know, did Chucky manifest that? Maybe it was just a glitch. I have no idea. It's awesome. This poor worker just gets sent flying through a pane of glass. So chaos is already ensuing. Andy is placed under temporary care of a foster family while his mother recovers. We never see Catherine Hicks again for the rest of the franchise.
I think they have a newspaper article that
you see
shows
photos.
her.
You
That's
see
it, yeah.
photos. There's a
Yeah.
few times they'll show a shot of her. That's it.
Yep.
One and done. She was never in any of the other entries. Missed opportunity. Whatever. So he's then placed with a foster family. The father is played by actor Garrett Graham, who you may best recognize as the father in Terror Vision.
Oh, was it?
It's that guy.
Okay.
Yes. In the critically acclaimed
Yes.
horror film Terror Vision.
It was fantastic.
Yeah.
Let's be honest.
But yeah, it's the actor
Yeah.
Phil, the foster father. That's the same guy who's the father in Terror Vision.
Terror Vision.
If anyone gets that reference, you are awesome. All right. We are introduced to a new character to the franchise. We are introduced to 17-year-old, kind of rebellious teenager Kyle, who's also living in this foster home. Meanwhile, now resurrected and rebuilt, Chucky tracks down Andy's address to continue his mission of transferring his soul into Andy's body. There's also, we get very early on in the film, they introduce what would become a series staple. We get the Chucky laugh. Do you know what I'm talking about? He's
one?
like
Yeah.
over the top, like,
Yeah.
yeah, he would get the Chucky laugh because he like strangles one of the Play Pals employees,
Yep.
and he does the iconic laugh. But
You like that, I take it.
I like the laugh.
Okay.
Yeah, I like the laugh.
All right.
We're not gonna have a lot of same picks. Okay. The foster family coincidentally have their own good guy doll, which it's a foster home. There would be toys. Do you remember trivia? What's the name of the other good guy? He's not going to get it. Folks, I do this just to fuck with Mark. And I love seeing the look on Mark's face of like, how am I going to remember this?
Who cares?
Yeah. So there is another good guy doll in the home. Tommy.
I was going to say Tony.
Yeah, that's close.
Yeah.
I would have given it to you. Tommy is the name of the other good guy doll in the home. And there's a cool moment where like Andy, like, because of course he's traumatized from the whole Chucky experience, but in his mind he's like you want to think like, okay, he understands this isn't the same doll, so it's not the possessed thing that you dealt with, but he's still a kid, and he like hesitantly approaches the doll, and at this point, the actual Chucky has already swapped with the Tommy doll in the house. Chucky like buries the Tommy doll because he tracks down Andy.
Yeah.
So now the Tommy doll is actually Chucky, and Andy like approaches him, and it's a great shot where Chucky is trying to mimic the Tommy doll, and he's like, "Hi, my name's Tommy."
I hate you. Hi, I'm Tommy, and I'm your friend to the end. Heidi-ho! Ha ha ha!
Because he can't remember. You see like the facial
Yeah.
animation. He like
Fuck.
looks to the side. He's like, what's the name of this stupid thing? Yeah, that's a clever little thing. Mark's not won over. Great little moment with Andy. Andy's smart. He immediately checks the battery compartment.
Yep.
Good callback to the first one.
Yep.
It shows Andy is being very proactive. He's not taking any chances. I like this. Good character growth. It does not waste long. Literally half an hour into the movie, Chucky immediately reveals himself to Andy and attempts the voodoo ritual to transfer his soul. He like ties up Andy in his bed, but it's interrupted by Kyle, the rebellious teenager, who's just like coincidentally sneaking home at this exact time. So it just like comically gets interrupted. Later, once again showing his bravery, Andy grabs a turkey carving knife and attempts to kill Chucky before he can get him. Phil interrupts this scuffle, however, and is I like this kill. This kill always makes... You don't like this kill?
There's one part about this kill that we'll get to it.
Oh, we're gonna get to it right now. So, like Phil Phil, like, he kind of doesn't really like Andy, and he's kind of like, Andy's like, I don't know, he's like he's damaged goods. He's gonna be annoying. He's gonna annoy me, basically, right?
He doesn't really think that fostering this child is the best decision.
Right.
Yeah.
And he like debates with whatever the woman's name is as well. And Andy's like in the basement attacking Chucky, and Phil walks in on it, and he's just thinking like, oh, this crazy kid is just fighting with this fucking doll. Like, what's going on here?
Yep.
And Phil, like, he ends up like tripping, and then like he gets caught, and he's like hanging upside down. I think he's like gets caught in the stairs.
Stairs, yeah.
And then Chucky looks at him and immediately reveals himself to Phil. Do you remember what he says?
Nope. Dude.
Hey, Phil, how's it hanging?
How's it hanging, Phil?
Yes! Yes! It's so good. I love the line delivery of that. I'm just like, hey, Phil, how's it hanging? It's so good. It's so matter of fact. And then like Chucky like hits him with something, and then he falls and like just heinously breaks his neck. Yeah. So now we got one of the foster family is already dead. As a result of this, Andy's actually placed back into like the temporary home. So it's like, it's not the foster family. It's basically like the government, almost like an orphanage. I don't know, whatever you want to call it, like the in-between place. And we begin to follow Kyle for a little bit of the film. I like this. Kyle, she discovers the actual Tommy doll. Coincidentally, she's like on the swing, and just like her foot hits the sand or the dirt, and the doll that Chucky had buried, she uncovers. Chucky then like immediately reveals himself to Kyle, attacks Kyle and subdues her, and holds her hostage and forces her to take him to Andy. We get very funny interaction with Kyle and Chucky in the car.
Another one of these car scenes.
Another one of these car scenes. Yeah. And like they get pulled over by the police at one point, and like Kyle's like is forced to just like come up with some sort of bullshit, thing to get rid of the cop.
Yeah.
And the Chucky doll's just sitting there beside her, like still holding her at like knife point.
Right.
I don't know. There's some good exchanges in that scene. I like that scene. So then this all leads to Chucky tracks down Andy with Kyle in close pursuit, because basically Chucky gets Andy and then like kind of takes him, and then now Kyle's like, fuck, I gotta save Andy. She then is trying to save Andy, and it all culminates in an amazing showdown at the Good Guy Doll Factory.
Right. I think, was there also a scene at the school?
That's way early on.
Is it? Okay.
Oh yeah, that's like midway through.
Yeah.
Both the foster parents are still alive at this point.
Yeah.
No, there's some other stuff.
Okay, all right.
There's some other stuff. But no, the grand finale is it ends at the Good Guy Doll Factory, which holy fuck, it's good. Since you don't have it super high, do you want to get into what you don't like, or would you like me to start gushing? Because
we can talk about what's good about it.
Okay, all right. I have no negatives.
Yeah.
Like this is all positive. This is my number one. This is my favorite fucking entry.
Wow. I mean, that blows me away.
I already knew it was my number one before we even before I even did the rewatches. This was always my favorite. I always loved Child's Play 2. Yeah.
Wow.
Child's Play 2 to me is that's the best. Well, let me explain why.
Yeah.
All right. It's a perfect sequel.
Okay.
Hear me out. It does exactly what a sequel should do. You take what worked in the original, give it more fucking money, expand it a bit, add a little bit to the lore, and just make it bigger and better. And that's exactly what this does. It's very clear they had way more budget for this film, and it's all on screen. They upped the body count from the first movie's 4 kills, 7 kills in this movie. Almost double the fucking body count. Yeah. Multiple different settings. Again, the first one, you could kind of see they just kind of stay around that apartment set a little bit too much. Not in this movie.
No.
Right. The school
scene,
the good guy factory, there's all kinds of other little pieces. The movie just feels bigger because they clearly have more money to work with. And all of the money is on fucking screen. It's the thing that you always like to say. It's like, it's very clear every dime was on the screen.
Yep.
You know, Chucky is more fluid in this movie. You get more of Chucky, which is great. He's got more movement. There's more animatronic work in here. He does a lot more. There's a ton more shots of him moving around. Yeah. Again, it's like everything that worked in the first movie. It's like, oh, the Chucky shit was cool. Let's give you way more of that.
Yeah.
You know, you want to say something? Go for it.
I think I know why it is the two of us are separate on this. I think I figured it out. You want more Chucky, and I want less Chucky.
Speaking of more Chucky, so this is where Chucky's character really begins to take shape.
Yeah. I've said he's definitely more of a snarky shithead, spouting the one-liners.
This is it.
And
so
definitely more outspoken.
This is just like Freddy Krueger. This is where where we differ. Is like I love the mid Krugers, the 3s and the 4s. And I can even appreciate moments in 5s, whereas you're like, I would just want the first.
Yep.
Yeah, I want that more simple, you know. They realized the comedic gold they had with Brad Dourif and his line deliveries. They just like Freddy Krueger, and they give you more of that.
I got a new game, sport. It's called Hide the Soul. And guess what? You're it. You've been very naughty, Miss Kettlewell. You goddamn women drivers!
So yeah, we were getting one-liner Chucky's, and
Yeah.
I think it works great. I love it. They let fucking Brad Dourif go off in this movie. They let him just. I thought it was great. It's fantastic. He has some great lines in this movie. Like all of his dialogue is fantastic. He really started the character is starting to take shape in a way that you don't like, that I like.
Yeah.
This is the Chucky doll. This is the Chucky version that I like, where he has a lot more personality in this one.
See, I like Chucky like that when it's the doll. When you are looking at the doll and you're like, is this what I think it is, or is it just a doll? Whereas I think you like Chucky that's animated, running around, laughing, right? I mean,
Yes.
Brad Dourif, great, right? I mean, if you're going to have somebody...
Give the man more screen time. They do it.
At least they got the right person for the job. But I prefer the suspense piece where he's not revealed, and there's always that mystery about whether or not, is it the Chucky, or is it the good guy doll that's doing all this, or is it just a doll, right?
You must have been very lonely watching these movies because almost none of these movies do what you're describing. All right. They expand the cast. Kyle, played by Christine Elise.
Yep.
She's a great addition to the cast.
She's okay.
She's a great addition to the series. I like her.
Yeah.
I don't know.
They didn't do much with her. She never comes back. Right?
She does
Does she?
in this TV show.
Okay. Yeah.
So I know,
Yeah.
but to get it out of the way, almost everybody, with the exception of Catherine Hicks, and I don't think Detective Norris comes back. They pretty much all come back in the TV show.
Okay. Fair
So
enough.
just to get that out of the way, just so you know.
Yep.
But Christina Elise, Kyle she's an awesome character. Her scenes with Andy are some of my favorites. I think they have good. The two actors had good chemistry. Pairing an angsty little teenager who's very like rebellious with like this honestly still adorable, innocent little boy. That's a good idea.
But she's also
and those
kind-hearted.
scenes work.
I
yes.
think she,
yes.
You know, she doesn't have. I think she does care more about her foster parents than she wants to let on.
Yeah, she's got a shell.
Yeah.
She's got a shell. And like Andy, who's so innocent and cute, kind of breaks through that. And all those scenes, the two of them, are just great.
Hey, want to hear me say your name backwards? Kyle.
Oh, this.
You know, you can clearly see she has some baggage. We never really get to know what that is. But I just think that was a really good pairing of those two. I think the innocent boy and the angsty rebel teenager worked really well. They complement each other. She becomes kind of a protector to Andy because she's older, not as naive, and Andy kind of warms her up a little bit.
Yep.
It's good. She also kind of kicks ass. Like, she gets held hostage by Chucky. Like, that scene in the car, she's not terrified. She's like, she's just like deadpan of like, is this really happening to me? I don't know. It's great. I like that she just doesn't take any shit from Chucky.
I mean, she could have just thrown him out the window when the cop was there, but she didn't. So
no,
okay.
But you know,
decisions.
Yeah, I know.
Choices.
Even part one had that problem too, right? So right. Again, going back to how this is a fantastic sequel. Great connection with the actual company getting involved. It feels like the next logical step where it's like, okay, they don't like the Play Pal toys. They're not really in the first movie at all. No. There's no factory shot. There's not one scene of like anyone being like, we have gentlemen, here's the product of the future, the Chucky doll. It's going to be we get the commercials, but you never see behind the curtain.
Yep.
This movie gives you that.
You almost couldn't do it without acknowledging, they've started to expand past or beyond the borders of just the characters who were involved in the first movie. You would have to have, what does the company think of this? What are they going to do next? Especially if they're going to keep producing these dolls, right? You would almost have to have their feedback on that. And they keep making them, so good on them.
The whole thing with like the little dialogue at the beginning with like well, firstly, the factory is awesome, but then you get like the dialogue with the little executives being just like, what is this bullshit about some little Andy Barkley shit? He's like fucking with our sales right now. He's like, how are we going to deal with this? I love all that corporate bullshit.
Yep.
And I think it's so great that they put that in there. It's so cynical.
Yep.
It's like, yeah, one of your toys like was involved in almost a child's murder. Like, but then again, to them, it's just like, it's affecting our sales. Like, we got to deal with this, like, let's rebrand marketing or some shit. All that shit's great. They take a different approach in this movie, and it very much has a different feel to the first movie. Again, reasons why this is a perfect sequel. So we trade in the inner city feel for the suburbs. It's got a very suburban feel. Mm-hmm. It almost feels like it's in a small town, like outside, like that gritty urbanness of the first movie. We've traded that in. We are now like the foster home is like this, grandma's house.
We've traded the dirt for almost too clean, right?
I like it. And like, he goes to like, we get a school scene and he's got like, it's just like some, regular school that he's going to. It's not like some like tough inner city school or some shit. And there's just not a lot of grimy, gritty shots of what you would see in the first movie. This film is very much like even the Play Pal Toys factory. It doesn't really feel like it's in the heart of the city. It feels like it's kind of on the outskirts of whatever that city's supposed to be. It's great. And speaking of changing the feel of the movie, I want to talk about cinematography. Holy fuck is the cinematography good in this film. The cinematography in the first movie is quite good. This one is like next level. If you want to talk about like, porn for film students,
right?
This is it. This is it big time. I don't know if you noticed this. The entire movie is shot from low angles.
Makes sense.
Did you notice this? Entire movie, it's filmed from low angles intentionally to give you the perspective of a young child.
Yep.
So the entire movie is shot as if like you really feel like a little kid in this world. Everything seems big in this movie. All the adults seem taller than they normally would.
Overwhelming in a way that you wouldn't necessarily think of something as being overwhelming.
And even the way they film inside like the house itself, we get the scary basement. The basement's filmed in Chucky's hiding down there, but like, my fuck, even if he wasn't down there, the way they shoot it just seems so unnerving for a young kid to go into that dark, creepy basement. Everything's just filmed in such a way of making the world appear bigger than it is. Genius decision. There's also some good actual camera direction. So I really liked at the beginning the shot where right after the workers killed, after they've rebuilt Chucky, it's a really good, very clever blocking. So they move the camera. Chucky's like sitting like on the counter, right? They move the camera. They move the camera back. Chucky's missing in the shot. Nobody reacts though. Yep. Nobody actually notices it, and you may not even notice it at the viewer the first time the first time you're watching it. But they're showing you through the camera movement. Oh no, the doll's alive.
Yeah, we
hadn't actually seen the doll come alive yet, but it's just a clever little camera movement.
See, that's great. Do more of that.
Another great shot. Early in the film, we get a really good foreshadowing shot where Andy is in the car. I think it's when he gets picked up by his foster family, like his new family.
Yep.
And do you remember what cuts them off? They're driving in the car.
It's the truck.
They get cut off by a truck, a good
like transport
guy's doll truck. They play pal's truck. And there's a great shot of Andy's face looking through the glass in the window, and reflected against his face is the Chucky logo. I did it. The Good Guys doll logo.
Right.
Fantastic foreshadowing. This is how you make films, people. This is how you make films, is put in clever shots like this. Show us. You don't need to tell us everything.
Yeah, I'm going to carve that up in a moment, though.
Oh, okay, all right. Here we go. There's also probably my favorite shot in this is there's a really cool shot where it shows, again, the basement. It's like from the top of the stairs, and you've got Chucky, and he like wakes up at the bottom of the stairs. It's such a cool looking fucking shot. There's just so much time and effort went into this, to the actual sets, to the camera choices, the photography choices, the whole foster house. It just feels like a foreign, almost like going to grandma's house.
Like you can never be comfortable here.
That's it. That's exactly it. Where it's like you don't really know where everything is. Everything feels bigger than it should. It almost feels like
you can't touch anything because it's
yes. Yeah. Brilliant. I only have one more thing to say, but it's a lot. But I'll let you dunk. Go for it.
So first of all,
I don't know why you have it so low. I genuinely am surprised, because to me, why I thought you would love this is it's a bigger version.
Yeah.
And usually you like that, but now I guess it's just because you don't like the way they go with Chucky.
Yeah, the subtlety of this character is what gets him for me, right? So any of the movies where, spoiler, where they're not subtle, right? It's probably going to rank very low on the list for me. I don't dislike this one. I mean, I know I've got it as number 5. That's kind of a middle tier pick.
Kind of.
Yeah.
It's a little bit lower than I'm comfortable with. Yeah. I would appreciate if you would put it up to a 4.
Yeah. On the top half and not the bottom half.
Well, there's only 8 picks. Yeah. So top 3 is A rank. Yeah. And then you got 4 and 5 is B. And then C tier is obviously.
And I think it's very much a B for me. I don't hate it. And I think that's important.
No.
I don't hate this movie.
No.
Okay.
I hate a couple. We're going to get to them.
Yeah. There's just a few things that I didn't really appreciate. He should not be comfortable, Andy, around the good guy doll. Like, he almost immediately is like, oh, okay, I'm fine. I was just like, that's
I don't know that he does that. I don't agree that he does that.
I mean, he starts playing with the thing right away.
Well, no, almost. As soon as it falls, he's like petrified of the thing.
Sure.
And he's very hesitant when he walks up to it.
Okay.
So I don't know that I agree with that.
I don't know. But I mean, he starts carrying it around after that. Like almost, I don't know. Just
okay. Fair enough. They had to get away for Chucky to be at that school so he could kill that teacher.
Yeah.
That's literally why.
A lot of this movie takes place during the day. So you talk about the setting of it. Yep. I like the small town.
Completely different feel.
But it's just like, okay. Like the whole school scene is just, I mean, they can't do it at night because why is the teacher there? But at the same time,
this is a thing for you. You think horror should always have to take place in the dark. I disagree.
I feel like if it doesn't have that shroud over it, then the tension is that the stakes aren't there.
If there's not a fog of war.
Right. Like how is it that window gets covered in blood in the middle of a schoolyard and nobody sees it? Like it was just, okay, whatever. Yeah, I liked Kyle. I thought she was okay. I mean, I don't think she was no Danielle Harris.
I think she works. I think she works really well,
actually. I thought she was all right.
I think she's a good addition.
Again, I don't dislike.
Anytime you add new characters, you're taking a risk, right?
Why bury the doll under the swing where like it's too convenient. Like bury the doll in the forest where no one's going to find it. No, let's put it right in the spot where it's cleared out because people are going through it and dragging they're gonna find the doll.
Well,
and they 10 minutes later they find the doll.
Okay. I agree it's stupid, but to the defense of Chucky, because you're really criticizing Chucky here,
right?
He did not think he was going to be dicking around the house that long, right? He thought he was immediately going to just take over Andy's body and then get the fuck out of there.
But still, anywhere else. Anywhere else. Yeah. I just thought it was a little too convenient for the plot. And that's the kind of thing that made me realize, oh yeah, this is a movie that I'm watching, right? That basement scene, you loved it. I thought it went...
That was great.
Oh, it just went on too long.
It's an 84. It's like a 5-minute scene.
It's the whole thing.
There's 84 minutes. They hardly use any runtime.
And it
Folks, this is what's called a nitpick. A nitpick
I was
from a nitwit.
I was like, oh, is he behind the sheets? Because for some reason this basement has like sheets and blankets.
Every grandparent's basement. I'm going to push back on that. My grandparents used to hang their fucking laundry.
All over the place.
Oh, okay. So it's not okay when Child's Play does it, but it's okay when Michael Myers and Halloween does it.
Right.
How many fucking times did they have the sheets hanging out like outside of everyone's backyard? Has
he's
just
hiding behind
laundry.
This one they had like 37 sheets, probably not 37.
No,
like
it was like 2, right?
it just seemed like the whole thing was set up for jump scares. That when it's just going to be a series of jump scares, you're like, whatever,
right?
And was it Phil, the father? Is that his name?
Hey, Phil.
Phil.
How's it hanging?
Yeah. When he dies, it's almost like the creative team felt it was too, like when somebody breaks their neck in a movie, that's pretty intense, right? And I feel like they could have stuck with it and gotten more points, but I got the feeling, and you should include the clip just to be sure, but I think they added like a warp when he actually hits the ground in his neck. I think they kind of needed to...
You mean they added like a sound effect?
Yeah.
I don't remember this.
I feel like they needed to...
It's a pretty brutal neck hit. Like, I think the effect works really well.
It does, but I think they were probably like, ooh, I think we need to...
Like a little too...
We need to take a little bit off of this. So I think there was like a little bit of a...
Cut to it.
Maybe I'm wrong.
They didn't do it. No.
That's right. He doesn't know.
I don't know.
Right. So anyway, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm not. But
I feel like I would have caught that if they did. But
and I don't think it wasn't like a circus.
We will put up the Mark's right or Justin's right or whatever.
It's usually Mark's wrong.
Mark's wrong. Yeah.
Right. I mean, the level of detail that you go to with your notes, I wouldn't be surprised about.
I don't remember this. I don't remember this. Yeah.
So, what else? We talked about the scenes driving the car. It's just ham-fisted.
At least it was short in that one. It wasn't like a super long.
This is not this is not to discredit the movie, but the teacher, she will always be Susan Ross's mother. From Seinfeld. Obviously this was before Seinfeld.
No. That she's not the teacher.
Or sorry, that guidance whoever.
She's the foster woman.
Sure, yeah, sorry.
She's the foster woman. Yeah, and that's Susan. Yeah,
she's a wonderful person. I'm sure.
We are so dating ourselves. I know. With these like Seinfeld references.
As soon as she comes on, and this movie was well before that.
Her kill is funny.
Yeah,
she gets like killed and like lands on the photocopier and it like just photocopies a couple copies of her face being like.
Because of course it would, right?
That's how photocopiers work.
That's right. Yeah. Okay. There's one thing about this movie that I cannot stand.
It better not be what I'm about to talk about.
No, they do it a few times in this franchise.
Okay, so it's not what I'm thinking of.
There is no way that Play Pals factory is literally 5 minutes away from where they live. There's just no way. It's too convenient.
Who cares?
No, but the thing is,
so cool. Okay, so this is my last thing.
They're in Connecticut, that factory's in California.
No.
That's the way that it is, right? Like, stop with this, like, it just happens to be right there.
It has to be near them because otherwise we can't get this amazing third act. This final scene is awesome.
No, but stop. Okay. Stop with that shit.
For how cool this final act, so that's my last point, is I just want to talk about the final act.
Yeah.
For how cool this is, who fucking cares?
Come on.
I'm surprised you're not willing to just be like, who cares? It's there.
I know.
But it's such a, you're telling me you don't like, you're telling me that you would rather they just didn't have this last scene because of that little bit of like, suspense of disbelief?
It just,
like, do you not like this last sequence?
Oh yeah, it's great.
Right.
The factory is cool.
Oh, yeah. Beyond cool. Beyond cool. It's fucking the highlight of the whole goddamn film.
But come on. Like, what are the chances? Like, we're just going to happen to stumble upon the... I mean...
So, folks, this is what's called a nitpick.
No.
A nitpick.
To say nothing of local zoning laws, because you've got this massive toy factory literally down the street from this residential... area.
Well, it's just an industrial area. There's industrial areas 10 minutes from my house. You could have I live 10 minutes from from a car factory.
Yeah,
so,
you do.
Yeah. This is what's called a nitpick.
Right.
If we did a killer car movie.
I was going to say, if we did Christine, I guess we couldn't do it based in your house.
Right. Okay. Well,
I don't know.
Let's talk about this final act.
Yeah. Okay.
It's okay. The third act of Child's Play 2 is one of the best final acts of any horror film ever.
It's good. It's good.
This is why I was like shocked. I was like, he doesn't have this at least in top 3.
It's cheesy.
Ooh, I don't even know if it's that. I disagree. Okay. I'm going to go through the whole I have written out the entire sequence because it's that fucking good. Okay. So, the entire set, they set this up early in the movie. We see very early, the first 10 minutes, the Play Pal Toys factory where the Chucky dolls are being made. They could have never gone back here. Yeah. They could have just done the fascia of this factory and it would have been like, that's cool. Good production value. No, they built an entire fucking toy factory. This is a huge, massive fucking set and it is fucking awesome. And they use every part of this fucking set. So through the last act is Kyle is trying to save Andy, who Chucky has now taken hostage, and they've coincidentally run into the good guy doll factory. Okay,
coincidentally.
Who fucking cares? It's so cool. Okay, the entire set, it's got like this really colorful, matching again like a children's toy factory. It's got a really colorful aesthetic. Like it's not realistic in that like
bright yellows and bright reds
and and
for
like
no
greens.
Reason.
Well, because it's a stylistic choice. That's why. The reason is it's a stylistic choice because it immediately you see this factory and you go, oh yeah, that's where they make good guy dolls. Yeah. Like it's very filmic. It reads like a Willy Wonka factory.
It does.
And
that's a good comparison.
And I love it. Yeah. And that is a smart decision. They could have made it cold and boring and bland. And no, they went for this colorful, visually vibrant setting and it works so well. Amazing pacing and flow to this. Okay, so it starts off with Kyle trying to rescue Andy from Chucky, and we get a fantastic fake out here. Chucky completes the ritual. So Kyle's trying to find Andy, and they're like hidden in because this whole factory's like a giant maze, right? And they're like hidden in this like aisle of good guy dolls. Chucky completes first time in the franchise. He completes the fucking voodoo ritual, and for a second you're like, holy shit, he pulled it off? But surprise, it's revealed it has been too long.
You little shit! Do you know what you've done? It's too late! I've spent too much time in this body! I'm fucking trapped in here!
There was the period of the time period to which Charles Lee Ray had to transfer his soul into Andy's body has now expired.
Yeah.
He did not succeed in time. He is now stuck in the body of the doll. Realizing this, he goes ballistic and basically just goes on a. Now it's just he's out to kill.
Now I don't care about killing or keeping you
now
alive.
he's like, I'm killing everyone. He just goes on a fucking rampage. So what this then turns into is Kyle gets Andy, and now it's a cat and mouse with Chucky in this entire factory, this playhouse they have to work with. And it starts off with Kyle and Andy, and they're running through like the maze of good guy boxes, which is a really cool shot. They then crawl through this like conveyor chute with Chucky like climbing up after them. They end up trapping Chucky's arm. This like gate comes down, and it traps his arm. Chucky, like a fucking wolf chewing off its own leg to get out of a trap, rips off his own fucking hand and then grabs his knife and jams it into the stump of his arm. And then he tapes that.
And he bleeds now. Like,
exactly.
Like, it's not just like doll parts coming off.
No, he's like, it's like gory. It's a really gory effect. It's like skin tearing. It's heinous. We then enter this like colorful assembly line area, and we get a really fun kill. So it's like the first area is like the completed dolls, and they're kind of going backwards. Ironically, this is maybe a little too high level. We start in the section of the factory where they are completed dolls. As we progress, we go to they are less and less completed until we eventually arrive at the molten plastic.
Right.
As they work their way backwards through the factory, Chucky pieces of him slowly starts getting torn apart.
Disassembling as well,
He's being disassembled as they go. We get a really cool kill with one of the factory workers. It's my favorite kill in the whole movie. So like, there's like a machine that like the dolls like. So there's a couple factory workers.
Complex like.
So there's like a machine that like jams the eyeballs into the good guy dolls, and like the line gets like jammed due to like Chucky and Kyle and Andy like running around knocking shit over.
Right.
And then some worker's like, fuck, and he goes and he like he unclogs the jam. And then Chucky like whacks him. He like cuts him. And then the machine turns back on, and he falls backwards into the machine, and it like plops the doll eyes right into his eye sockets. So fucking over the top.
They telegraph that almost as soon as they get to the factory.
Oh, as soon as you saw that, you're like, somebody's
getting jammed in the skull with this thing, right? Yeah.
What a fun kill. Again, this movie ups the kill count, ups the quality of the kills. They're getting more elaborate.
Yep.
You can see it. The money's on the screen, buddy.
Elaborate equals goofy. Is that?
That's how that works.
Yeah, okay.
That's right.
That's the same.
So then they trap. So then Kyle. I can't stop saying Elise because Christine Elise, but Kyle and Andy trap Chucky in like this assembling this like equipment. It's like this enclosure thing that like jams parts onto like the doll, and he comes out of it and he's like just fucking mangled.
Right.
And you think like, okay, that's it. He's dead now, right? Except he's survived, and he is now wheeling himself. His guts are hanging out, and he's wheeling himself on a fucking like this little push cart.
Yep.
And like menacingly, almost like the Terminator, crawling towards Andy. Andy then there's like this valve of like liquid hot. It's like molten plastic.
Yep.
He releases the valve, and it just pours boiling hot molten plastic all over Chucky, and it just heinously mutilates him. And you're just like, okay, now he's dead. But no, no, he's still alive, and he springs out of the plastic mound like a creature from the primordial fucking ooze. Yep. And he's just like writhing around and trying to just grab at everything. He's like flailing around. Kyle then grabs a loose air hose that got ripped off and jams it down Chucky's fucking throat. And after a few seconds of buildup, boom! Yeah. they fucking blow Chucky up. He inflates and explodes into this glorious, just it's like a explosion of like blood and plastic and guts, and it's such a cool effect.
Yep.
Excellent. We get this awesome, satisfying kill. Chucky's now finally dead, and Kyle and Andy then slowly walk out as it immediately cuts to credits.
Yeah, I have this. Then it just ends with Kyle and Andy walking off into the matte painting sunset.
Perfect ending. This whole sequence is 15 minutes long, and it is perfect.
Yeah.
And once again, we get it cuts to some nice, eerie playing music for the end credits.
Yeah, I didn't hate it. It's just excessive. Like it's yeah,
I don't hate aliens. It's just no alien. Okay, I get you. That's fine. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah,
sacrilege.
No, I see your points. No. They're all wrong, but
I guess I just wish they could have kept the suspense,
mystique, like the mystique of the first movie.
Yeah,
this one is a bit actiony.
Yeah,
it's very thrillery. It's not. The series is becoming more actiony thriller, less horror.
Yeah.
It's
just more of like a. I'm not disappointed with it. I know they've got to be able to market this thing, and you can already see Chucky is becoming the marketable asset for this franchise. Whereas maybe in the first one he wasn't really. Maybe it was a bit more of a rounded movie. No, now he is the star of the movie and not just the antagonist that's sort of causing all this to happen. So,
I do find it ironic that you were saying after that you're like, yeah, Chucky, we said at the beginning of the podcast, you're like, he kind of just barely gets into that echelon of top horror, slasher guys. Part 2 is what cements him for me. To me, part 2 is like, this is when he goes from a one-off creepy horror film about a killer doll to a bona fide classic slasher villain.
Right.
This is the movie that makes that a thing. They make him bigger, they make him larger than life, they give him one-liners. You are right. They gave him a personality, but it is not the Chucky of the first movie.
Yeah.